Despite Advent's clear military escalation, there were an alarming lack of focal points for us to attack. We were forced to simply sit back and wait for them to make their next move. In an effort to better track the movement of Advent's peacekeepers, we began turning our rapidly growing stockpile of supplies towards aggressively expanding our communications network. We had already made contact with resistance groups all over the world, but the improved communication grid would make it easier to coordinate with all of our allies at once. Blightwalker apparently realized what we were trying to do, because soon afterwards he made efforts to disrupt our communications, but despite his attempts at sabotage, all he managed to accomplish was to briefly delay our covert ops team. Since we had nothing but time to kill, I decided to check back in with Tygan. Apparently he had finished his latest project, adding more automation to our engineering workshops. Between the automated workers and the robot soldiers, sometimes it felt like he was trying to completely replace the human element aboard the Avenger. Afterwards, he requisitioned the corpse of one of the Andromedans that we had killed in battle. Given his recent focus on robotics, I wasn't sure if he was intent on studying the mechanized suit or the alien pilot, so I had both delivered to his lab. Once I was sure he didn't need anything else, I took a moment to check in with Lily. Our engineers had finished putting up our first radio tower in North America, and we immediately put it to use, canvassing the surrounding regions for new targets of opportunity. After combing through all of our options, we settled on a lightly guarded Advent facility that was being used to store high explosives and valuable scientific data. It seemed like an odd combination, but I guess Advent was hoping the presence of all those explosives would discourage us from trying to steal more of their data. They just kept underestimating us. Still, this was a mission that called for a more subtle approach, so I put Chiron in charge of the strike team, with Deus serving as his psychic advisor. We filled out the rest of the team with some of our lower-profile operatives, including Greenguard, Kuruk, Rorschach, and Lieutenant Malachi. Their priority was to retrieve that scientific data, but knowing our soldiers, I knew it wasn't going to end with just that. Unless something went terribly wrong, it was much more likely that the Advent facility was about to be wiped completely off the map.
Just got word from the Resistance. One of their operatives located an Advent data vault in this area, storing information critical to the latest alien operation. We're moving in to seize that data and stop their progress before this goes any further. Eliminate any hostile contacts and secure the area. Menace 1-5. We've got a bead on the Advent data vault near your position. Be advised, self-detonating charges are in place at the target. Move to disarm and extract the package before its contents are destroyed.
Remember, Commander, there are extremely volatile materials scattered throughout this area. We need to make sure our troops are clear of any possible explosions.
Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to episode 46.
I will go.
Today we're on a basic item recovery mission. Apparently we're stealing Advent's viral diffusion summary, which I guess they're keeping inside of a recording studio. It seems a bit odd, but I'm not going to question it. Our first goal is, of course, to move over to this adjacent rooftop.
Moving out.
Oh, we just spotted a pod. Okay, it's an Andromedan and a Viper. It's good to see that Advent is still deploying snake waifus, even at this late stage of the campaign. Oh, and there's another enemy pod. A heavy mech, a purifier, and I think the last one was a shield bearer. We'll ignore them for now and just stay focused on moving over to the adjacent building. That should give us a good elevated view of any Advent pods that are between us and our target.
Affirmative.
Given that we're only up against 11 enemies, and we started with the advantage of an elevated position, I don't think we're going to have any trouble with this mission.
Stepping off. Solid copy.
Okay, it looks like that pod is moving away, so that gives us a little more room to maneuver. Let's start the turn by bringing Chiron up again. It's important to know where these enemy pods are, so we can avoid triggering them before we're ready. Looks clear, but there's a scanning tower over there, so let's have Green Guard check that out.
Infiltrating access point.
Increased crit chance. That could be useful, but I think it's a bit too early in the mission for us to bother hacking this tower. We'll just stay focused on getting our guys into position for now, but we may revisit that tower once we're actually in a gunfight.
No need to ask twice. Queda claro. Got it covered. Roger that.
No visual on any enemy pods. Let's bring Chiron up a little further before we end the turn, just to get a better view of the battlefield.
I am trusting you. I have sight beyond vision.
Okay, there's that wandering pod.
I'm on it.
Those guys are actually moving into a pretty ideal ambush position. Oh, but now we have a second pod in sight. Alright, we're definitely going to attack at least one pod this turn. I'm just not sure we have enough firepower to split our focus between two pods and still take down an Andromedan. I think what we're going to do here is deliberately break our line of sight to the Andromedan pod. That way it won't end up being triggered when we attack the other pod. Now the trick is finding enough cover for our whole squad.
Heading to that location.
I think that should be fine.
My life is in your hands.
Now let's start things off by hitting these guys with an acid grenade.
Fire in the hole!
Okay, that took out all of their armor, and
They're onto us!
now we're officially in a firefight, so I think it's time for Green Guard to hack that tower.
Accessing system.
At this point, I'm not really concerned about reinforcements. If we fail this hacking check, it just gives us more enemies to kill. Nice. Well, that makes things a whole lot easier.
I'll give it a shot. Got it.
I guess I could also have Green Guard hack that mech. But that kind of feels like a waste, so let's just gun these guys down instead. I guess we'll start by having Rorschach take a shot at that purifier. Well, I was hoping for a one-hit kill, but 10 damage is still pretty solid. Now, we want to make sure that we use our attacks efficiently enough to make sure we kill all three of these guys. Normally it wouldn't be a problem, but their hit point bloating has gotten a little out of control ever since we increased the difficulty. Let's have Chiron finish off that purifier. There we go.
One of many.
Now let's have... Okay, let's have Malachi use teamwork to give Rorschach another action.
I am with you.
Very nice. Now we should be able to finish off the mech easily enough, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to finish off that shield bearer. Deus only has line of sight to the mech, so... There we go.
¿Te he impresionado? Come get some.
Now let's take a quick shot with Green Guard. I guess that takes care of that.
Target neutralized.
Alright, we've taken out our first pod and there's no more pods in sight. Oh wait, we can actually see a pod right over there. Looks like an Andromedan and 2 other Advent troops, but they're so far away they don't actually have line of sight to us. Let's bring Chiron up closer so we can get a better look at that pod.
I will always find you.
Okay, well, we spotted a turret, but we've lost sight of the enemy pod. That's a little annoying. Let's just start moving the rest of the squad up to the front of the building and... Oh, right. Change of plans? Let's take these guys out. We'll start by knocking the Andromedan off of the building.
Here, catch!
Of course, now we're going to have to send someone down there after him. But I guess we should take care of that Viper first. Let's move Malachi up, and he can probably take out the Viper with his pistol.
Heading out.
Good enough. Now let's hit the Andromedan with his blaster bomb.
No use running. The target is marked.
Okay, we've stripped off all of the Andromedan's armor, and it's currently at half health. But we're still going to need to send 1 or 2 guys down there to finish it off. We'll start by bringing Rorschach down there first. Hopefully he can kill the pilot with 1 more shot.
Moving to position. There is nowhere to hide. Target neutralized.
Nice. Now, let's start pulling Rorschach back.
On the move.
Now we'll bring Green Guard down there. He can hack the suit, and next turn he can steer it out into the street where the rest of the squad can gun it down.
Heading out. Let's take it.
All right. I think everything's coming together pretty nicely here.
Making new friends. We're in.
The Viper is probably going to burn to death, but I guess we'll play it safe and have Deus finish it off.
¿Y bien? ¿Qué te parece? I won't let them pass.
Now it's time to see what Advent does.
You will never hide from me.
Okay, we just got spotted by the second Andromedan.
They're moving to flank me!
And he's got 2 Spectres with him.
You cannot run.
Okay, I definitely want to take out the Andromedan, but the Spectres are also a pretty big threat. Let's start by taking out the Andromedan's cover.
Get ready for a surprise!
Oh, and we've got the Andromedan shell for a couple of turns, so let's move that up so we can use it as a decoy. Now let's bring Deus up and... You know what? I totally forgot that I can just mind control things. Well, now I feel silly for hitting that other Andromedan with a grenade because we're just going to take control of it.
Tu voluntad es débil.
Alright, now we've got 2 decoys on the field, so it's time to see what we can do about those Spectres. They've actually lined themselves up pretty well. Let's use run and gun to move Rorschach up a little closer.
Heading out.
Then he can hit them both with his Shred Storm cannon.
Rip them to shreds.
There we go. That should make it a lot easier to take them out.
Menace 1-5, this is Avenger. We have positive confirmation of the target package. Move to acquire.
And there's our objective. Let's bring Green Guard up and see if he can take out one of the Spectres.
On your order.
Nice.
Hostile terminated.
Next we'll have Kyron take a shot at the other Spectre. Also nice.
Your friends will join you soon. I need more ammunition.
Now let's bring Raziel up, and I think we're done for the turn.
Moving to position. I'm on it.
Our decoy took a hit there, but that's fine. That means it's working. We'll have it return fire so we can soften up that turret a bit. Now Malachi should be able to finish it off. Nice.
Hostile target down.
I guess it's time to take out that shell, too.
On your order.
Meanwhile, we'll start having Chiron move up again.
I am on the move.
Hopefully he can get a visual on the final enemy pod. We'll go ahead and rocket Green Guard over there as well. That way he can grab the objective as soon as he's close enough. Which is right now, so let's grab it. Well, we don't need any more contacts, so we'll slow down the next dark event.
I'm in. The gear is secure. Menace 1-5, status confirmed. The charges are inactive and the package is secure. Eliminate any remaining hostiles near the AO.
Okay, well, let's have Kuruk finish off the shell. Then I guess it's time to go hunting for that last pod.
I got it, right? Moving to Overwatch. No one will cross. Got it covered.
No sign of the final pod, but since we know it has a gatekeeper, it's probably somewhere around our objective, maybe on top of the building or right behind it.
Volk says I am to obey. I've spotted an alien patrol. No place for you to go now.
A gatekeeper, a lancer, and a trooper.
I guess that'll be okay.
It's going to take a while to reach these guys, but maybe we can goad them into coming towards us by hitting them with some indirect fire.
Can't hide from this one.
Now let's get everyone into ambush positions, just in case.
On the move. Lo que tú digas. On the move. Todo cubierto. Standing. I'll keep an eye on it. Got it covered.
Okay, they're not budging, so I guess we'll just have to keep moving up a little closer.
Moving to position. No hay problema, jefe. I'm on it. I'm trusting you here.
I kind of like having Malachi up on this perch, but I guess it couldn't hurt to move him a little closer.
I'm on it.
I guess we'll move Chiron up a little closer as well.
As ordered.
If they still don't budge, then we'll hit them with a claymore.
Reapers are always vigilant. Covering now. Scanning. En guardia.
Okay, let's hit them with more explosives.
Moving out. You can never escape my sight.
Oh, actually, let's bring someone else up first. The pod will scramble as soon as they see us. Still no reaction, so, I guess we'll hit them with an acid grenade. There we go. That killed the trooper and finally got a reaction from the Lancer. The gatekeeper doesn't really care.
Moving to position.
I guess that means we'll focus on taking down the Lancer.
I'll get him next time. Okay, I'll go.
There we go.
It's dead. It has to be dead.
That just leaves the nihilistic gatekeeper.
Parece factible. I see everything. Overwatch. Guardia.
I guess we'll give it one more chance to do something. Hey, better late than never, I guess. Now let's blow it up. First, we'll have our Andromedan trim off the rest of its armor. Or not. Next, we'll bring Rorschach up.
Heading out.
Oh, actually, we can have Kuruk take out that blast point of armor instead.
If you say so.
There we go. Now we'll have Rorschach take a shot at it. I'm actually kind of glad I missed, because I'm a little worried this thing will end up hurting Chiron when it blows up.
I go where you tell me.
We'll pull him back to a safe distance, then we'll probably let him take a shot at it.
Voy a ello.
Okay, I guess that means Green Guard gets to finish it off.
I'm on it.
Well, I moved him where he doesn't have line of sight, so let's burn off his last Icarus jump.
Target eliminated. Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
Advent officials revealed today's maneuver by local peacekeepers was a planned exercise. Citizens should not be alarmed. All weapon fire and wounds were simulated to better train Advent forces.
Commander. It's always good for morale when we ace a mission like that.
No wounds, no loot, no level ups. Well, good work, guys. Operation Empty Palace had gone about as smoothly as possible. Our men cut through Advent security forces with ease, and everyone came back without a scratch. Even better, the data they had come back with had already attracted a new recruit for our lab staff, which meant that we could finally begin work on studying the Avatar corpse that we had been keeping in cold storage. With the operation complete, we turned our attention back towards the construction of our latest radio tower on the western coast of the United States. It was going to take a few more days to finish the project, so in the meantime I sent out the Sky Ranger to retrieve our covert ops team from Reaper territory. Lily had more than enough engineers on staff these days, so I had a few of them get to work upgrading all of our heavy armor with the new tech we had just acquired. Afterwards, it was time to start planning our next covert action, and given our distinct lack of solid targets, I decided it was finally time to start planning out our next big move. Blightwalker was usually little more than a nuisance, but he did show occasional signs of dangerous lucidity, so I decided to send out a recon team to see if we could firmly pinpoint his location. Besides, at this point, Blightwalker was the last thing standing between us and the Elders. If we wanted to put an end to this war, then he was the next domino that needed to fall.